question number 8 of the PhilNITS FE afternoon portion of the exam. We are now in the last question for the afternoon portion of the exam. And actually this question is something that we can choose to answer instead of the previous question, which is question 7. And this time, instead of a C++ programming question, we do have an alternative, which is a program written in the Java computer language. The thing here is that it sounds easier, but in fact, I made a mistake with the first question, and we'll see what happened. Now, just to quickly brief you with what we have to do. The program manages students, courses, and faculty in a university. During a term, the program manages the course results of students. At the end of a term, it calculates the average grade of cumulative course results up to the end of the term using total grades and total credit hours of attended courses. Okay? So the context is a university, and you got students, courses, and faculty, and we need to know their grades and also the total credit hours of attended courses. So that's pretty much the context of the program. Now we can move on to the question, and in this case, for letter A, the first blank, we have to know what would be the values that would go into the blank, and we can see that it's supposed to be HashMap, and the choices could be any of the following. And we can see here that, for example, there's a capital D and a small letter d here, and there's a difference between these two. And actually I chose letter E, which is incorrect because the correct answer is supposed to be the one with the capital D. And now let's see why I arrived with the small d and not the big D. And the way I did this was to, well, if there's a hash map here, I do know somewhat how it works, although I don't often use it when I write Java programs. And so I had to look at what the code is doing, and maybe there are some parts there that we can use to help us arrive with the correct answer. Now in this case, if we look at any of the other portions of the code, for example, we have the function or the method in this case, because we're talking about a Java computer program. We have here add student, and there's a gradebook dot blank, and another one here, gradebook dot blank, for the method submit grade. Okay, now why are we talking about the gradebook? Because if you go up again, the hash map, the name of it is gradebook, right? So we want to know what the computer program is doing with gradebook. It's supposed to be a hash map. And we can see here that if we look at the choices for letter B, it's doing something like this. We have more methods, which I think are also explained in the description in the question, but I think the one that I focused more on was the inputs, the parameters that go into the function or the method. For example, SID, which I thought to be the student ID, and I think that's the correct meaning of that. And here we have SID2. Now if you go to the submit grade method, we have SID again and grade. Okay, and if you look at the answer group for C, you got these things, SID and grade 2. And so it seemed to me that what gradebook would need would be a string and a double. Okay, the thing is, let me see if we got the thing here. The thing is, I need to also verify whether my understanding is correct or not. And so I put in a little bit more time and read more of the code. And here we have next something where you got a hash map again, and in this case it's using string and student. Okay, and if you go down below it, we have string and faculty, and another one below it, string and course. So it looks like the string portion for the blank that we're answering, A, is okay. So I was able to narrow it down to this one, D or E. Okay. Now the question really is if it's capital D or small d. And then I did look into this one, what they're doing with students, and we can see that there's ID, and then it's passing something like an object, a student object, where it's got all these parameters as well. But I think the way I really decided was to look at what the letter, the size of the letter is for example, grade here, and it's a small letter D, not a big letter D. And I think because of that, let me see if there's another one. Well, I think it's really because of the examples that we have from a portion of the code, like submit grade, that I thought that it should be a small letter D. Okay, and so in this case I chose letter E, but in fact the correct answer is letter D, where you got a big D for double. Now we want to know next, why is that the case? And if you look it up, for example, from Oracle, it says here that the double class, let me make this larger, or zoom it out, I mean. The double class wraps a value of the primitive type double in an object. So we got a big D here and a small d here. And if this is a primitive type, then this one would be an object type. Okay? And in this case, what we need is an object. And we can see a lot more of the explanation from Stack Overflow. I put it here too. And there are times when we need a primitive type, like a small letter D for double, but in this case we need a, a big D because we're going for an object, especially when we're using hash maps. Okay? So in this case, we have the hash map here, and what we need to put in there would be objects and not primitive types. Okay? And because of that, the correct answer is really letter D with string, capital string, and a capital D for double.